practically apply them. So let's get into the book. So in this book, I have I've presented the idea of 7 life paths. What are the 7 life paths? The life path 1 is Dharma and its model. What I'm presenting is a very unique and very probably an idea that comes from the Shastra itself. And that idea is presented to you. And this idea of Dharma is presented in a very practical way so that we can use it. The second light path is Satya. The third is Nyaya. The fourth is Niti. The fifth is Karma and free will. Actually, I'm presenting the idea of karma as free will. Light path 6 would be the seeds of adharma. Anybody who is on the path of dharma should also know the pitfalls. And the pitfalls normally come to us in the form of adharma that we might commit knowingly or unknowingly. And the light path 7 is Swadharma and Varna. Swadharma and Varna are 2 models that we have developed. I myself and a couple of others, we have all collaborated and developed in the last 10 to 15 years. This whole book developed in the last 20 years, wherein I extensively studied, discussed this idea of dharma and various light paths with various scholars across the country. And I drew a lot of inspirations from them, a lot of perspectives, and I have presented them all to you. The approach that I have followed in this book is I've taken these 7 light paths, and through these 7 light paths, I have viewed Mahabharata. So there is always Mahabharata. It's there. We all know it for a very long time. All of us have been reading it. Ramayana, we've been reading it. We are listening to it. But these 7 light paths will help anyone look at Mahabharata from a totally new perspective. And this perspective is as new as it is old. Because whatever the perspective that we are presenting today is practical. So that part of dharma, that part of the light path, which is applicable in our lives, is presented through this book. Moving on. What is the objective of Jayam? Why do we need to study this book? Or what is there in this book? So one of the most important questions I had 15, 20 years back was, how should I really understand the idea of dharma? Because there are so many different definitions of it. And at times these definitions are even conflicting, that an average person like me is not able to understand the crux of what the idea is, and I'm not able to implement it in my life. I do what I like to do, and I do within my best knowledge and intelligence, but I'm not sure whether that which I'm doing is really dharma. So I need a reference point. And in my case, I'm a practicing Hindu. So I need a reference point from Shastras. So from the Shastras, I want to take a definition, but that definition should be applicable in today's life. So that's the challenge that was in front of me. So I took that challenge, slowly started working on it, and here we are. So this book will try and apply these concepts using the narrative of Mahabharata and Ramayana relevant to today's context. So Jayam also attempts to redefine certain key principles. These are words and terminologies that we normally use in our life. We have our own understanding, and most of the times the understanding is right. It's not that we are wrong about it, but this book makes a clear attempt to qualify those terminologies and present them in a way that we can sit and discuss at our homes. A father and son can discuss, a father and daughter can discuss, the mother can discuss with the children, with their parents, with their in-laws. In the office, we can discuss. So wherever we go, these words are applicable and we can use them effectively. So we have tried redefining these terms in this book: Dharma, Satya, Nyaya, Niti, Swadharma, and Varna. So using all these definitions, as I said before, I have looked at Mahabharata afresh and then see what I can learn today. I'm in 2024. What I can learn today. Will it be relevant for tomorrow? Will it be relevant for 10 years later? Probably. Yes. Now, how do I then look at it? So we define it in a way that is applicable and it's easy for use. So when we also look at Dharma, we have another situation or probably a challenge that we always face, which is there are moral dilemmas in our life, be it leadership or be it home, be it in the office, be it the business that we run. There are always some questions in our mind. Am I taking the right decision now? Is this the right thing to do? So this book will probably work as a guide or probably a reference book where you can always reflect and see, okay, this is what happened in Mahabharata. This is what they did. Okay, some similar situations happening in my life. How can I, take a decision? There are some frameworks in this book that you can directly use in your life. So that's what I said. So there are some models, some tools, some methodologies are there which you can use. So one of the most important things that I always keep discussing about Dharma, and one of the points that came is, why should we really discuss Dharma? Right? Is it really a practical area, or is it just a hyperbole, or just a very imaginative idea? So this discussion normally keeps coming amongst friends and family and everywhere. So I've tried to answer that. One of the things that I have observed in the last 15, 20 years of reading Mahabharata and Ramayana is that there are a lot of distortions in the modern day Mahabharata and Ramayana books that we are seeing. There are many kinds of distortions. A couple of them are Western, a couple of them are Indian. And these distortions, at times they are willfully done. Other times, the author himself or herself is not very clear about the idea. So they write what comes to their mind. So these distortions, to the possible extent, I've tried clearing in this book. Another problem that I see in Dharma is that there are erroneous interpretations. For example, if there is Mahabharata and the way Karna was killed, or the relationship between Duryodhana and Karna, or the decision-making dilemma that Bhishmacharya went through when Draupadi was humiliated. So there are a lot of interpretations that have come in the last couple of years, many of which are not just erroneous. At times, they are very, very confusing and disturbing for a normal viewer. We are not able to accept it, not just because we like Mahabharata or like Ramayana, because somewhere we feel that interpretation doesn't align with Dharma. So I've also tried correcting those to the possible extent with the best of not just my knowledge, but with great help from wonderful people around the world. And the other point that I always see is when it comes to decision making, with respect to a lot of leaders in the hurry to make a decision, or in the situation, the chaotic situation that they are in, or even in families, what happens is the focus goes away from Dharma, and we try to focus only on the person involved. We either try to please the person, or we try to please the situation, or we try to take a decision that everybody will agree, or probably, most of the times we want to, kind of escape from the situation. So this book will try and bring the focus back on Dharma, saying in a situation, where is Dharma? And if you are taking a decision, is that decision in line with Dharma, or is it in line with just about pleasing somebody in the room? So this book will probably give you a guideline into that thought process. I'm going to present a model to you today. What is Dharma? Now, what is Dharma is a very interesting question, and I had it in 2003, and I was searching for this question, searching for somebody who can answer this question. And in 2010, I met Dr. R. Rangan. He's one of my greatest inspirations. He runs a Vedic ashram in Bangalore. And he, in 2011, he gave me a book in the same title, What is Dharma? He's written a book. And in that book, Dr. R. Rangan presents a beautiful model for Dharma. As you know, Dr. R. Rangan is a Vedic scholar and a Ramayana scholar, and he travels throughout the globe. Uh, and in that book, he gives an excellent definition of Dharma based on Shastras. So this definition indeed is applicable even today. And that's what I found is really fascinating. So I've taken that Dharma model, and with his permission, after taking permission from him, I'm presenting the same model in this book as well, in Jayam as well. So through the Dharma model, I have viewed the whole Mahabharata and tried, understanding the narrative of what really happened and how it is practically applicable to us. So Dr. R. Rangan holds the copyright for this model. So I'm doing this after taking permission from him. So hope you are able to see the picture. So Dr. R. Rangan gives us 4 levels of Dharma. These 4 levels of Dharma can also be called as 4 levels of happiness. Right? Let me try and explain to you. So these are, just to name them, they are called Atra, Sukha, Bhadra, and Nishresa. Just like the bird that you see there. Right? Let's, I'm just, this is the metaphor that I have used in order to explain the idea of Dharma. He gave me the model and he has given us the model. And I have tried to add one qualitative addition to it by providing a picture and an image just to represent the whole idea. Just like this bird in the first bird, which is in Atra, right? This is Atra. Now in Atra, what happens is just like the bird there, what happens is at times we get stuck with certain things, imagining them to be pleasure. For example, somebody could be consuming alcohol, somebody could be consuming cigarette, or any other habits like excessively fiddling with their mobile phones, are getting very addicted to video games, all these kind of things. Even eating at times becomes atra. Why? Because the person keeps eating and eating, and at times it leads to a lot of health hazards for the person. So atra is like a trap. All those trapping pleasures of life are called atra. So just like this bird which is stuck in the trap that the hunter has laid for it, we at times get caught in those kind of atra kind of pleasures. Atra kind of pleasures hold us down. They don't allow us to improve in our lives. Let's go to the second stage. They look like, the atra looks like a pleasure, but indeed it's a very negative thing. We need to be very careful about atra elements in our life. The second layer is called sukha. As you can see, the bird is very happily eating the fruit. There is no harm. The bird is just enjoying itself and it's having the fruit. Now, this is sukha. This is called sukha. And the bird is enjoying itself. So there's nothing, no harm in it. This is called innocent pleasure. Innocent pleasure, as we can always have one fruit. There's nothing wrong. But assuming we have, or like say having one sweet is good. But let's say, the person starts eating a lot of sweets. From sukha, he'll go to atra. It will lead to diabetes and a lot of other health hazards. So while we are enjoying some pleasures, sukha kind of pleasures, we need to be very careful and lay down, probably draw a line. That's what Dr. Rangan tells us. The next is called Bhadra. As you can see, the bird has now started feeding its the tiny ones, its family, and not just that. As you can see, it's part of a bigger family of birds, right? It starts contributing to the other birds, to the community at large. So from sukha, where the bird is only enjoying itself, now in Bhadra, the very big transition has happened for the bird. And the transition is that it has started contributing to others. It connects to others from his family into every other family probably and starts taking care of it. So this is Bhadra-based happiness. So in leadership, when a politician decides to serve the country, in business, when a person decides to create a product or a service and run it and run a company, provide employment to so many people. The person is existing in Badra. When a person joins an organization and contributes positively to the organization because of which the society becomes a better place, he is in Badra. Because he is in employment, he is able to take care of his family. He is in Badra. And not only that, with the money that he receives, he gives away that money, he gives food, clothing to a lot of people. So he serves the society in many ways. So Badra is necessarily all these activities where we choose either a profession or through a seva and connect to the world at large and give away our services of time in order for the society to improve. So the person from just enjoying himself in Sukha, when he moves to Badra, he not only takes care of himself, but also his family, his society, the nation, and the world at large. The last stage, not the last stage probably, it is the stage of Nishreyasa. In the stage of Nishreyasa, stage number 4, the bird is now looking into the sky. What it actually means is after doing his duty, after taking care of her responsibilities, she goes in a very contemplative mode. She searches for her Atmanyana. She goes for the higher realm of consciousness. She searches for the higher realm of consciousness, and she pursues a life of internal search. So that is Nishreyasa. So she goes towards higher pleasures, the highest of happiness in life. So from Atra to Sukha to Badra to Nishreyasa, the transition is possible for every human being. There are some people who get stuck throughout their life in Atra. So they're not able to move. They need to slowly understand that first things first, they need to take care of themselves. So that is when they move from Atra to Sukha. Once they have taken care of themselves, now they need to start thinking about the society, the family, the nation, the street, the world at large. To whatever possible extent they can contribute. When that happens, not necessarily after Badra, but during Badra itself, a slow and a conscious movement towards Nishrayasa can happen. They can start pursuing higher Atmic consciousness and they can start a whole spiritual journey into that particular life. So this is the basic model of Dharma I wanted to share. If you're interested, you can search for the book called What is Dharma, the same title, by Dr. R. Rangan. In that, he has explained in detail about the various, about these layers and also much more. Moving on. We just saw about Dharma. There's something also called as Dharma Sukshma. In Sanskrit, the word Sukshma means subtle. Dharma itself is subtle. On top of that, in specific situations, in specific contexts, when we apply life, what happens is that it becomes so subtle that the decision making becomes very tough. In those situations, what should we do? This is a question. And Mahabharata and Ramayana, in my opinion, are two great texts. Of course, they are not just, they are called itihasas, which means they are our history. So Mahabharata and Ramayana give us tools and frameworks and narratives with which we can very clearly understand Dharma Sukshma in our life, the subtle elements of Dharma in our life, and take decisions. I'm now going to give you some scenarios. I wanted to think about these scenarios. And any answers that you have for these scenarios, kindly type them and send them across to me either during the call, during this presentation or after this presentation in the comment section. Scenario 1. There are two thieves. Let's say there are two thieves. These thieves decide and steal some property from some house. But there is an agreement between them. The agreement is they will share 50-50 of whatever they have stolen. They agree to that and they share. As per the agreement, they share the money or the jewels, whatever it is. Now tell me, is there dharma in this situation? Scenario number 1. Scenario number 2. Let's say you're a person who always likes to speak truth. That's your principle. One day, a boy comes to your house and he takes refuge in you. He says, somebody is going to hurt me. Let me hide in your house for some time. And after that person is gone, I'll go. You allow him. Now, after some time, another person comes And then he says, did you see any boy coming this way? Now, what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed, or will you tell the truth and expose the boy, which means that person will catch that boy and you might hurt him, you might do anything to him, or you're going to lie and protect the boy, which is dharma. Telling the lie is dharma, or telling the truth is dharma. Scenario number 3. There is an employee and she's been hired by a particular boss. She's working for him. Now, the boss has done some corruption with some other people, and she has all the data about that particular corruption. She has the facts with her. Now, should she walk up to the company, the senior management, and expose the boss, tell what the boss has done, or should she keep quiet? Remember, the boss was the one who got her the job in that particular company. What is the decision that she should take? Do you suggest her keeping all the facts with her, hiding the fact? Or do you suggest that she should go to the management and tell the truth, which is dharma? Hiding or exposing? If she exposes, she's breaking her relationship with the boss. Is it okay to break the relationship? Is it not adharma? What do you think about it? Scenario number 4. One of your friend is involved in money laundering. Money laundering is normally when somebody has a black money, organization or somebody has a black money, they kind of change the whole money into the normal white money, as they say. They legalize the money. You know that one of your friend is doing some money laundering for some organization or for somewhere. So what is that you will do? Would you go up to your friend and tell him that this is wrong? Would you tell him this is adharma? Or you will keep quiet? What would you do? Or would you go and complain to probably some senior authorities in the government and tell that, there is somebody doing money laundering? What will be your decision? Do reply. Moving on. I will now spend some time in explaining certain nuances about dharma and a couple of other things, which is what we have discussed in this book. One of the most important arguments that came across in a lot of my discussions, I'm also a consultant and I work with a lot of leaders across the industry. So one of the discussions that come up is what is dharma and what is nyaya? In India, normally that something that I have observed is that we use the term nyaya interchangeably in the place of dharma. Mostly for us, nyaya and dharma mean the same. But when you look deep into Mahabharata and Ramayana, you can find difference. You can really find a difference. It might be a very thin difference, but once you look deep into it, you'll find the difference and you would know that it is actually glaring difference. I'll try and explain the difference here. Let's take an example. Let's say there are two friends, myself and another friend of mine. Let's call him Krishna. I decide to borrow Krishna's car for a drive with my family. I'm going to go for an outing tomorrow, and I'm going to borrow the car from my friend Krishna. Krishna agrees to lend. I go to his house. Let's say the car has got a keyless entry, which means you don't have the key, you have only a key fob. Keep the key fob inside the car and it will start. I get into the car, but I'm only used to driving cars with keys. I sit in the driver's seat. My friend Krishna sits next to me. Now, I don't know how to start the car. I just press there's a button. I press it. The car doesn't start. Krishna tells me, Badri, you're wrong. Badri, you're wrong. Press the clutch. Press the button. The key fob is there inside the car. Now the car will start. Oh, the car starts. I understand. In English, this is called right and wrong. In Hindi, people will call it sahi ya galat. In Tamil, we call it sari alladu tavaru. Right? Right or wrong. Simple right or wrong. Now, both of us walk out of the car, and my friend says, Badri, I have filled the car's tank. The petrol tank is full. You can use it, but when you return it to me tomorrow, fill the tank and give it to me. That's the agreement. I say, okay, I commit to that. I give my word. I give my word. I tell him, okay, Krishna, I will use the car, and tomorrow evening when I return the car, I will fill the petrol and I'll give it to you. Okay? It's agreed. Now, let's imagine a scenario where I take the car out the next day and I return the car. But when I return the car, what has happened is I have not filled the petrol tank, but I've already given a commitment, right? But I am not fulfilling this commitment. This is called anyaya. Anyaya actually means a transactional commitment was made and it was broken. If I had filled the petrol tank and given it back to my friend Krishna, it would be nyaya. I agreed to it, I delivered on that promise. Here, I agreed to it, but I didn't deliver on the promise. This is anyaya. So this is the word that we use, nyaya, anyaya. But in English, we use the word again, right or wrong. Let's imagine another scenario. Now, when I was driving the car probably I was driving to Kanchipuram somewhere, accidentally, I hit the car somewhere and the engine is hot. Engine is hit. And I drive back and I know about it. But what I do is I hide the facts from my friend Krishna. I just give the car, I hand over the key fob to him, and then I return back to my home. I didn't inform him. Now, this is called adharma. Why is this adharma? Between two friends, there is, it's not just a commitment, but there is a sharing of value. And what is the value? Trust. Two friends trust each other. Now, Krishna didn't write a commitment to me, nor I signed an agreement with Krishna ever in my life that I will not betray you. I will not be dishonest to you. I will not be cheating you. We don't do it with friends. Nobody does it with any friend in their lifetime. But it's an understanding that we have because we are friends. In a social setting, in a normal life existence, we normally tend to comply to certain values, although we have not explicitly agreed to them in writing. Now, what I have done, I've hit the car somewhere, but I'm hiding that fact from Krishna. So, what is going to happen? Tomorrow, if he takes the car and goes on the road and on his way to office, in a half the way, the car stops in the middle of the road in the traffic, what's going to happen? Of course, he can catch another car, book a taxi and go back to his office. But the problem is, he'd be late to office, he'd be late to meeting. So many things can happen. Or while driving, something bad could happen to him also because the car is already affected. It needs to go to the showroom and get corrected. But I'm hiding the fact. Since I'm hiding the fact, this becomes adharma. Now, the difference between the previous situation, me not filling the petrol tank, and here, me hiding a fact, breaking his trust, are two different things. While in the previous scenario, in the petrol tank, not filling the petrol tank is anyaya, here, not telling what has really happened to the car becomes adharma. Why? I've broken his trust completely. If I don't fill the petrol tank, it's no big deal. Of course, he'll find it out. He might be very angry with me, and I wouldn't say it's completely. It's not a big. I wouldn't say it's not a big deal. It is a big deal, but it is still forgivable at the transactional level. But even then, he would be hurt. But the engine is hurt. And he's going to drive the car. I'm also allowing him to go through some risk. So when a value is tampered, it becomes adharma. When a value is protected, it becomes dharma. So this is a thin line of difference between nyaya and dharma that we observe from Mahabharata and Ramayana. Let's imagine there's a third friend. Let's call him Suresh. Now, Suresh, let's say he's a common friend to both myself and Krishna. What should Suresh do? Assuming he knows both these things, that I have not filled the petrol and I've also hit the car somewhere. First thing, he should tell me that, Badri, you please tell him. Don't hide the fact. Go out and tell him that you have not filled the petrol. Number two, you've hit the car somewhere. If I don't agree to tell, or if I say, no, I won't tell, at least what he should do, he should take me along or have both of us in the call and tell Krishna, I want to tell something about Badri, whatever he has done. Probably that is one way of doing it. Now, assuming Suresh also completely hides the whole fact. What is he doing? He is also breaking the trust between himself and Krishna. Now, remember, between himself and Krishna, there is no transaction. Nothing is happening at all. Nevertheless, the trust is broken. So this is the difference between dharma and nyaya. So this particular situation, the various types of dharma, the various layers in dharma and nyaya, we find in Mahabharata as well, right? When I went through Mahabharata, I saw similar instances there within the Mahabharata, and in Jayam, we have tried focusing on those and getting in detail on those areas and trying to explain what is the dharma and nyaya in those situations and where should the person, where could have the focus be. So higher dharma and lower dharma, Bhishmacharya Vittara's dilemma, dharma and nyaya, Dharmaputra had a dilemma there. Dharma and Anyaya, Arjuna had a dilemma. He was not willing to fight because Arjuna thought it was Anyaya to hit his brothers and cousins. The Nyaya and Adharma, it was Karna's dilemma. And Anyaya and Adharma, it was Dhritarashtra's life itself. Moving on. One of the researches that I have done probably in the last 15, 20 years almost, is to decode the idea of Varna. What exactly is Varna? Is the idea of Varna still relevant to us? Can we use it practically in our lives? Is it even still relevant, or is it just a very old idea? Is Varna and Jati the same? Is it different? I've tried answering those questions and in this book, and I've also made a video. In case you're interested, you will find a link to that video in the description of this particular video. If you're interested, you can go through it. We'll now move to one of the most important topics of the book, which is Vedas. As we all know, Vedas have volumes and volumes of knowledge packed in it. And one of the most important ideas that we get from Vedas is the idea of Dharma. I'm going to try and draw your attention towards just a few slokas from the Veda and how it is connected to Dharma. In Vedas, one of the most important idea that is discussed is called Rhythm. Rhythm is called the cosmic order, the great order that really sustains the whole of cosmos and the whole of creation. Vedas discuss about rhythm extensively. What is this rhythm? The Vedas talk about fire that is found within the water and earth. It says Agnya Garbham Dadire. Water has fire. This is there in Taittiriya Samhita. Water has fire within it. The fire that is there in the core of the earth is also spoken in the Mandaka. Agni Garbhayam Prithvi. Now, these are not just shlokas. These shlokas are trying to tell us some principles, right? Some great principles that are there within these natural elements. So when we look more into the natural elements, we find the laws of nature, and the laws of nature slowly leads us towards understanding the cosmic order, the order that sustains the whole universe and also the creation as such. This particular cosmic order is called rhythm. But now there is a question. Okay, there is rhythm in, for example, the sun rises in the east. Of course, the physical world, the scientists would have a different explanation. But for us, we see it in the east, and for us, the sun sets in the west. These all follow a cyclical pattern. There's a season that's there, which is happening cyclically. These are all natural laws, natural cycles that are happening, which follow the cosmic order. There is this moon which gives us light during the night, which takes light from the sun. So in every aspect of nature, there is an interaction happening. So then the question is, do you think, or can we think that there is cosmic order within us? It is there in the macrocosm, just the world around us. But is there a cosmic order within us? Yes. There is rhythm within us as well. That rhythm within us is called as Dharma. This cosmic order within us is called Dharma. I call this the web of Dharma. Okay, what is the web of Dharma? Let's go back to the previous example of me taking the car from my friend. I was telling you that, with my friend, I had an agreement and I broke the agreement. There is also a second scenario where I was hiding the fact that, I had hit his car. There was lack of dharma in that situation. Now, the question is, that is between friends. Can there be dharma for me when I'm walking on the road? Because when I'm walking on the road, there are so many people walking past me. Is there a dharma between myself and them? I don't have any agreement with them. I'm not working for them. They're not part of my family, technically. They are probably from a different state, different country. I don't know them, probably seeing them for the first time. And a couple of them I've not even seen. They're there, I'm not even able to see them. They're at a distance. But can there be a dharma between myself and them? The answer, very interestingly, when we look at Vedas say yes. And that is the rhythm or the dharma, the cosmic order within us. How can we say that? Now, let's say I go and hurt somebody on the road. There's somebody walking, I go and just scold at her or abuse her um, because she belongs to a particular religion, because she's from a particular jati, she's from a particular social class, this and that. I discriminate her on some level. I try to abuse her, demean her, do that. Will she not be hurt? Of course she will. When she is hurt, what is happening? Her happiness, goes away. In the previous case that we saw, the car example that I told you, when the car engine is hurt and hit, and I have not told my friend will be unhappy, isn't it? And happiness happens when there is adharma in the situation. People become unhappy. People become sad when there is adharma in the situation. In this case, I don't know her, but I'm able to create unhappiness for her. Imagine a terrorist. He doesn't know anybody in the society. He has no connection to society. He goes and plants a bomb in the middle of the city and kills so many people. He hurts so many people whom he has not even seen once in his life. What is he doing? He's creating adharma in the situation. Why? When somebody gets killed, their dear ones, their father, their mother, their parents, their sisters, their brothers, their friends, everybody is affected. They all become unhappy. We create sadness in the system. When that particular sadness is created, it is adharma. So sitting in this uh, city, I can create unhappiness for anybody in the world. For example, there are people, hackers and all those kind of people who bring down systems, who shut down systems worldwide. What are they trying to do? What are they trying to do? They try to create unhappiness for everybody. There is a terrorist sitting here and planning somebody else's destruction. There is some agent or somebody working for some terror group who's trying to, disrupt by, confusing the financial markets. So there exists a connection between myself and everybody around the world, whether I like it or not. It is always there. That I call it as the web of dharma. The moment I understand that I am actually connected to everybody, that I am in the web, they are in the web, we're all together in this web, the web of consciousness, the web of dharma, then I stop hurting somebody. Whether I know them or not, I shouldn't hurt them. That feeling, that thought process starts coming to me. And that thought process can come to us when we understand dharma and we start applying it in our day-to-day lives. With all these things, I had one question in my mind when I did the whole research on Dharma and all that. Who then, with all this understanding about Dharma and all that, who then is a Hindu? Who is a Hindu? Or who is a Sanatani? Or what is Sanatana Dharma? What is Hindu Dharma? This question was there in my mind. So with a lot of discussions with a lot of people, after a lot of deliberations, I have arrived at a model for that. I want to present it to you. So who is a Hindu? Who is a Sanatani? there are 4 concentric circles that I'm showing to you. Let's go from the center to the outer. The center most circle is the principle of Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. What is Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu? Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu is the principle, the adherence to the principle that everybody in this world, the whole of cosmos, not just myself, not just my family or the society, or just the Tamil people, or just South Indians, or just India, but the whole world, everybody, regardless of caste, religion, creed, identity, whatever it could be, they all should be happy. This is the core of Hindu Dharma. This is the core of Sanatana Dharma. When will a person adapt to this principle? They will adapt to this principle of Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu only when they understand they're part of a web, the web of Dharma. He or she is not part of my family, but they also need to live happily. Why? They also have a family, they also have a job, they also want to live happily. After all, we are all humans in existence. It's not just about humans alone. When I look at an animal, when I see a river, when I see a mountain, when I see the clouds, when I see the sea, you want that to be clean. You want that to be beautiful. You want that to sustain for a long time. That feeling is called Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. So the idea, the principle of Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu not just extends to family, society, nation, or the world, or to humans, but also to animals, animate and inanimate things, to the mountains, to the rivers, and everywhere. So a Hindu is fundamentally that person who holds Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu as his fundamental principle of life. He works towards the universal welfare. He has the idea of universal welfare and social goodness. He thinks every day, okay, let the whole world be happy. That is the principle of Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. When a person has that idea, the principle of Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, he develops a feeling called Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. What is Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam? He thinks that everybody is my family. Why? We are in the web. We are all part of the same web, the consciousness, the dharmic web. We are all together in this world. We are not, you and I are not separate. We are all the same. We are all together in this. Let's all grow together. Let's all become as one family. That's what Hindu Dharma asks us to aspire for. When the person has this feeling of universal brotherhood, he doesn't look at a Hindu, doesn't look at a Christian or a Muslim or that religion or an atheist or an agnostic and says, oh, you shouldn't live long. You cannot live long. No, no. You should also live long. You should also be happy with your family. You should also grow together every day. You should be very happy in your life. Let all success come to you. That is what Vedas say. When a Veda yajna, when a yajna happens, the yajna is not benefiting the person who's not just benefiting the person who is performing the yajna, but the yajna is performed for the whole world. So the whole world can become happy. It is for the happiness of the whole creation itself. So that is the feeling of Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, universal brotherhood. Then from that Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam comes, after a long time, when the person feels that way, he develops the conviction that Dharma Rakshiti Rakshitaha. I am in my Dharma. I feel that everybody should be happy. I aspire for everybody's happiness. I want everybody to be happy every day. When that feeling happens, he thinks, I'm aspiring for everybody's happiness. This world will take care of me. He develops that conviction. He tells himself, Dharma Rakshati Rakshitaha. I stand for Dharma, so Dharma will stand for me. Dharma protects those who protect it. So this conviction of interdependent action. What is interdependent action? When I do something to the world will do something back to me. It's not expecting that I'm doing it, but when I do it, it naturally happens, and I develop the conviction and the courage that, I'm being taken care of by Dharma, by the universe. When the person develops the conviction, we move to the next layer, the outermost layer, which is the Pancha Maha Yajna, or the 5 rituals, which I'm sure all of us have come across. This is Dharmic action. The Pancha Maha Yajna is based on the fundamental principle of respecting everything around us. A Hindu's life is fundamentally built on only one idea, is to respect everything around. He's a very conscious person. I wouldn't even say citizen. He is a conscious human being, right? he first respects the Deva, the divinities in everywhere. That is why we Hindus worship even the hill, we worship the river. For us, this is Bharata Mata, the land is mother, she's goddess for us, right? Then there is Pitru, ancestors. We worship all our ancestors. Then we worship the rishis. How do we worship the rishis? We worship them by respecting whatever they have written. When we read Ramayana or Mahabharata or Bhagavad Gita or any of the great texts, the works of Adi Shankaracharya or Sri Ramanujacharya or Sri Madhvacharya or any great saint, the great rishis, whatever they have produced for us, after all, they've only given it to us. When we read their works and we apply it in their lives and transform our lives, we become very respectful of them. We respect them. Then comes Bhuta ritual or Bhuta Yajna. Bhuta Yajna is when it's not just nature as in the trees and plants, but it's also the animals, the rivers, as I was saying. We respect everything around us. Then comes Manushya. We also respect every human being around us, regardless of the caste, religion, any difference that the world teaches us. We forget all those teachings. We look at everybody as an atmic human being and then say, he has to prosper, she has to prosper, I will prosper. We let's all of us prosper together. Let's all of us grow together. That is the fundamental prayer and the principle of Sanatana Dharma. This is only possible. All these floor layers are possible only when the person understands two things. One is that he is a very connected human being and that he is not alone. And number two, he internalizes the principle Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. When he keeps telling that every day in his life, what happens is that he starts believing in it. He starts believing in the fact that every day, everybody, every person, every being in this world, let it be happy. So that defines Sanatana Dharma. That defines Hindu Dharma. It is called Sanatana. Sanatana means eternal. So what is eternal? This idea that Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu is eternal. That is eternal. Why? Because it aspires for universal welfare. Everybody has to be happy. That is the aspiration. When that is the aspiration, nature keeps that aspiration alive. That becomes Sanatana. So that is why it's not a religion. We say Hindu is a dharma. It's a way of life. This Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu is a way of life. That is precisely why Hindu religion is called Sanatana Dharma. This universal well-being, the aspiration for universal welfare, let it be there always. This is the fundamental prayer of every Hindu. So this is the core idea, which you would also see in the book Jayam. This book Jayam fundamentally aims at only one idea, which is to bring dharma into our lives at a practical level. So when you go through this book, you will find a lot of ideas which you can use on a day-to-day basis in your decisions, in your thinking process, in the way you communicate, the way you deal with relationships, the way you take decisions with respect to growing oneself. I really hope this book adds some value to you. I hope this presentation I'm making to you was helpful to you in some way. I really hope that all of us grow in Dharma. I really pray to God that all of us become very positive in life and we all imbibe the feeling because samasta sukhino bhavantu in our day-to-day lives and become more happy, and not just for ourselves, but let the happiness spread into the families, the society, the nation, and across the world as well. With that, I come to the end of the session. Kindly do share your thoughts and comments, and you can also follow me in my Facebook and also on Twitter. We'd love to discuss, and let's hope we can connect on some other time. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. I thank you all for joining in today for the book launch. Namaste. Thank you. Jai Hind.